Oh, as a chess player, I look at the clock. They already took 90 seconds from us. But again, this conference is not, he's not punishing you for being late. The title is "What Are You Adding?" And yes, it seems to me that from many presentations, the speakers talked. It's about fear, so it's adding negatives. So hopefully we are, as one of the last group making presentation, we can help this group to leave the conference with some positive feelings, and we'll try to talk about positive sides. But I think before we debate what AI can add to our lives, I think we should do a little bit of a history tour, and also just to work a little bit with semantics, because it's very important just to understand what we're debating for. Because when people say AI and this is all these things, I think it's all surrounded by this fog of uncertainty and mythologies. I always just want to ask people what do they mean saying AI, because if you have 10 experts in the room talking about AI, they probably mean 20 different things. So, as someone who has a little experience with AI, personal experience, so I want to go a little bit back. So and even before matches that have been mentioned, 96, 97, I always remind people I played 2 matches with IBM. I won the first one before losing the second. Just, for the record. Actually, my first experience with computers, as somebody a kid who was born and raised in the Soviet Union, so it was in 1983 when I played a semi-final candidates match in London against Viktor Korchnoi, and it was sponsored by the company. I'm not sure many of you can ever recall the name, Acorn Computers. Anybody remembers? Okay, good. So, and my first experience with real computers was Atari 286. It's 1986-87. I had a contract, and I delivered 53 Atari 286 to first computer club in the Soviet Union. So that was the beginning of I would say, computer science in the former Soviet Union. While everybody talks about 96, 97 matches against IBM, people don't recognize that machines play chess, from day one. So actually, the first chess playing program has been developed by just Alan Turing himself, which was quite an accomplishment in 1952 because there was no computer to run it. And the only way for him to actually play a game was to act like a human CPU, actually writing all the calculations on a piece of paper. From the very beginning, from the onset of computer science, the scalp of a world champion was like a holy grail for computer science. So, and we had, all these developments, and by the way, the first proper chess computer has been developed by Ken Thompson when he was, had free time developing, C language and other things, so at AT&T Labs. So he came up with a real chess program. And since late 80s, we had matches. We played against different chess engines. And we made one mistake, which I think is quite important for us to understand while we're debating AI, is that we thought, if machine beats us in blitz chess, 5 minutes chess, or in rapid chess, 25 minutes chess, it's because we had little time. So we still couldn't bear the fact that it's not about amount of time, but it's the fact that machines, they cannot solve the game because chess is mathematically infinite. The number of legal moves, according to Claude Shannon, is 10 to the 46 power. But it's not about solving the game, it's about making fewer mistakes. Just remember, that's making fewer mistakes. And that's why when I hear people saying, match was Deep Blue was, it's a dawn of AI. I mean, Deep Blue was not intelligent. It was as intelligent as your alarm clock. A very expensive one, about $10 million a piece, but still, it's just not intelligent. It didn't have to be intelligent. All we could learn from this match is that machine eventually could dominate any game which can be qualified as a closed system. So, after this match, I just realized that the future is not about, humans fighting machines, but humans working with machines. And that brings us to AI story, and I think it's very important for us to actually start with the definition. Intelligence, I stands for intelligence, but I strongly advise we use it as augmented. Because the way we say, the moment you say artificial, people feel uncomfortable. It's something alien, something that is competing against us. And I'm not sure that this is it's a right way of reflecting the future relations. And augmented is friendly. And by the way, it helps us to understand that the future is about humans working with computers. So by the year 2005, 2006, the story was over. Competition just made no sense. But it began a new era of actually using chess as a platform to have humans and machines working together. Now, back to you, Michal. This is your scientific perspective. So it's late 80s, 90s, this beginning of this century, how you viewed all these milestones, including these famous, or I would say infamous matches against Deep Blue.
So thank you. I started my professional career in the 90s, so I was kind of born into this big AI winter, right? That the funding agencies kind of stopped funding AI and started to fund something else. And my students at the university often ask me, so why winter? What did you do wrong? Did you study something which kind of didn't make sense? And I was telling, no, it was just the time where people were working hard on the AI revolution that we see today. Those important papers written by Joshua Bengio on using neural networks for recognizing handwriting were written in the 90s. Jürgen Schmidhuber, a famous German AI scientist, invented his LSTM networks in the 90s, and those are now running lots of AI backends these days. Or even IBM kind of put together a statistical approach to language-to-language translation in the 90s. One important topic that actually hasn't been studied in the 90s is AI and cybersecurity. And the reason why is that handwriting and speech and image and video was pretty much the same in the 90s as it's today. But cybercrime was different. It was in its infancies, and the way how cyber criminals were attacking our networks and our computers were totally different, naive, simple, right? These days we live in a world where the attacks are super complex, super complicated. Attackers are using AI. Hence, we didn't have the luxury to kind of do those PhD theses and those great research projects funded by DARPA for the last 30 years, because the subject matter has been changing and is actually changing quite rapidly. So besides, we didn't have the training data that we have today. We didn't have the computational power that we have today. I actually think that when I look at the title of this conference, what is it that we are adding? So we are adding AI to public to protect your security and freedom on the internet, right? We fundamentally believe that more secure on the internet we are, more free we can be, right? And when it comes to how we do this, as Garry said, it's no magic. It's like really simple. Like protecting your endpoints is a tedious business. We are protecting 50 million attacks every day. So we are blocking 50 million attacks every day in our networks, and you are seeing 1 million new files every day. So you can imagine that this is a piece of work that can never be done by security analysts. It's just way too big. It doesn't scale to humans, right? So there is no way how we can do our jobs without using proper AI, machine learning, and data analytics, because in a way it is a data problem. So, but the truth is, we will never be able to replace the whole departments of the security analysts and security operators who are in charge. AI will be only augmenting their intelligence and will be adding extra brains and legs to how they work. So, and from my perspective, those security analysts are a prototype of the paraprofessionals. Professionals that use their brains, but they use huge compute and AI to make them super efficient and super effective. We use AI for classifying malware and telling whether the malware is bad or it's new or whether we have seen it before. But the attackers are also using AI, and now it's got interesting, right? It's not only the defenders But the world is complex because the attackers are super fast and they're also using AI. How the attackers can use AI to target us, right? So one is scalability. Use of AI allows unprecedented scalability of the attackers that the attackers write. AI allows the attackers to cut malware cheap because it reduces the amount of time and salaries that the attackers get for writing malware. Attackers can also analyze private data about the users of the internet and then can predict better what the user wants, where the user goes, and therefore trigger him better with phishing emails. This is actually a very successful application of AI in cyber warfare. And also, the attacks that currently we see are like very sophisticated. They fly along under radar, and they are trying to find the appropriate target, the appropriate persona to attack. And this can never be done without a proper use AI. The most sophisticated piece of AI that people are using these days is, the attackers are using these days, is based on the fact of AI unexplainability. Right? AI is not very explainable. Lots of AI algorithms are super efficient, but very hard to explain. And for us, as cybersecurity professionals, it means that we cannot reverse engineer it. Right? It's actually a big thing. There's a piece of a program, there is no network, nobody knows what it is, nobody knows how it behaves, and it triggers some condition for some malicious campaign. And our engineers can reverse engineer every single piece of code, but not new network, because it's unexplainable. So it's a very powerful tool for the attackers. So what we do against those threats in Avast, so we have been very successful in building hardcore scientific research operation in Avast that is studying two aspects of use of machine learning and AI in cybersecurity. One is explainability. So we want our methods and tools to be as explainable as possible, hence to be nicely plugged into the work of the security professionals, but also game theory. And now it kind of comes back to the game. The interaction between the attackers and the defenders is a multi-party game.
But it's in real life, so that's the thing. In game of chess or in business and politics, you can be attacker. I was a very aggressive player, so one of the chapters of my book, How Life Imitates Chess, is called Attacker's Advantage. But you could be on the defensive side, and it's just, there's always a balance. But as far as I understand, in cybersecurity, is not the same. Attacker has a tremendous advantage, and this is being on the defensive is not a very noble task.
Exactly, it's very asymmetric. It's an instance of asymmetric warfare where attacking is cheaper, defending is more expensive, right? And we have been spending a lot of time to understand this relationship and using the best methods of computational game theory to be able to run our defense much more predictive and to be able to protect our users from the attacks that will come in the future.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. This is after hearing this stories, horror stories. So yes, someone can come to the conclusion that that this AI altogether is a bad thing, and it's just. And again, there's so much was already heard here and set at this stage about dangers and negative implications of AI. So again, as I promised, we have to talk about some positive side. But again, before doing that, it's important.
But it was positive. We are protecting users of the.
Still, it gives sense of urgency, and it's some sort of uncertainty. And people are concerned because again, they see how AI is being disruptive, interfering with our lives. So I think it comes from our expectations because small group believes AI is some sort of a salvation. It's like a magic wand. The majority thinks it's a Terminator that is going to ruin our lives because we watch too many Hollywood movies. So I always say that AI is not a harbinger of utopia or dystopia. And for those who say new technology can ruin our lives, I'm saying that technology is the reason many of us are still alive to complain about technology. So we just don't recognize the fact that we have so many benefits, we take them for granted. And say, well, we want these benefits, but we just we don't want everything else. AI is going to destroy many jobs. Look, technology always, if it's disruptive, destroys jobs but creates new jobs. If you go back in history, you can see that jobs don't disappear, they evolve. So I think it's very important for people to understand that it's an evolution of the relations between humans and machines. And again, we have to find the right balance of this cooperation. So this is what do you think about the future of jobs? Because that's one of the greatest concerns. And so should we talk only about Europe, America, developed world, or we should look at the planet as a whole, understanding the implications for the human race?
Yeah, I'm very passionate about the use of AI for jobs, because I truly believe that AI will take a lot of jobs, but those jobs that either don't make sense or in which humans are inefficient, or those shit jobs that are like kind of very expensive but do not provide society with much of a value. So I'm actually looking forward AI to kind of change the structure, how the job market works today. But I truly believe it's going to be in the benefit of the society and benefit to the individual participants on the job market. And the reason why I think so is that deleting or removing people from this sector of repetitive, tedious, either manual, but more often intellectual work will free people to be more creative, to be more independent, to be more responsible. People are better in creativity, and computers are better in calculation. So it was only a lapse in the history where we kind of tasked people for a couple of decades to do the jobs that just like really much based in computation and data analytics, because there's no reason for us to do so. Computers are much better than that. So I think that the future of human race will be hedged on creativity.
Yeah, I looked at some statistics from the U.S. job market, and it's amazing that only 4% of working activities in the United States require medium human creativity. Now, just think about it. Bad news or good news? I think it's good news because it shows that 96% of jobs, they're kind of dead jobs. They're going to die soon. It's like zombie jobs. But it means there's so much room for us to improve. Yeah. So it's again, when we look at the structure of the job market today, we understand that many of these jobs, they just they're based on, as you said, on repetitive tasks. So people think, oh, if you talk about repetitive or just raw tasks, it should be physical. No, it could be cognitive, it could be intellectual. Yeah. But here, machines will not do perfect job, but they will do it better. The bottom line will improve. Yeah.
This reminds me of the other statistics that Barack Obama procured his government to do in 2014, 15 was, when he was asking the government what is the future of the job market in respect of AI. And they've predicted that 80% of jobs that are paid less than $8 an hour will disappear, but only 4% of jobs that are paid more than $40 per hour will disappear. And today we see that this prediction was totally wrong. AI cannot be bothered really to go after jobs that are paid less than 8% a dollar, right? So those jobs will return because they're not interested for automation. The jobs that are expensive, like lots of jobs in legal and financial advisory and insurance businesses, those jobs will go because they're expensive and there are cheaper ways how to get them done. I actually think that the other huge opportunity for people as a result of the AI revolution will be totally new job market. And this job market will be called people-to-people economy, right? So there'll be huge demand for people to work with people, right? So there is a specific set of job requirements that we will all want, where people will play much better than the human machines and the automated machines. And I always cite this example from healthcare, and I really believe that AI can drop the cost of healthcare dramatically, and can be one of the reasons why in the following decades healthcare will be accessible to many more people comparing to how many it's accessible today. It's because we can automate diagnostics. Diagnostics is very expensive and can be fully automated. Yeah. We can never automate nurses. We will need more nurses. We will need less doctors.
Yeah, actually, that's a very important point because, again, this is, let's say, jobs in radiology, lost in America or Europe, well-paid jobs. Hundreds, maybe thousands of them, could mean reduction of the cost of healthcare, making it more affordable, not only in developed world, but also think about Africa, Asia, how many lives can be saved. So that's why I always urge people to look at the big picture, how humanity will benefit. Because obviously there are always losers and winners, but it's about trade-offs. If we're moving forward, so we just have to recognize that, there's a price to pay. And also, I think it's about challenges. So we just, obviously, we're getting less creative because, we had a comfortable life. So it's 50 years ago, we had Apollo 11. So just making history. Today we're celebrating iPhone 11. What does it inspire? You know, it's outside of the the long lines outside of Apple stores or small bump in Apple stock. So it's very important for us again to use technology to become more creative. We abandon space exploration, we abandon deep ocean exploration. So many things can be done, and maybe AI will start moving people away from financial industries, from other well-paid jobs, back to the creative adventures like space or ocean, or many other challenges that were too risky for us to take on. So what do you think?
I actually think that your AI will bring you what you want the most. I can bet that there is one thing that everybody in this audience is really passionate about and would like to get more of it. It's time, right? AI, if properly used on the job market, will provide each of us with extra time because we would be less busy with things that can be automated. And I really believe that this will play nicely with the future of education, where people will be learning and studying and getting smarter not only first 20 years of their lives, but during the whole life. And because they will have time, for one, and second, the job market will be changing constantly, so they would kind of need to be able to rescale as a goal. I've got actually one more remark to healthcare, because it's very, I'm very passionate about this. Because we have proven that AI can help in healthcare, radiology. DeepMind is analyzing the retina scans, can predict a glaucoma 10 years ahead of time. So we see that data analytics can really do a great job. What we need is data in healthcare. That's why Google is buying Fitbit, and there is kind of so much fuss around smartwatches and smart sensors, smart everything. When people ask me what will be the most important invention and the most interesting smart gadget in the following decade, I say it's going to be smart toilet. Because it's a mechanism how to get as precise data as we can get in very non-disruptive manner, and those data can be fed to the AI algorithms and help us to predict our health status.
Okay, so let me summarize. So that's what we said. The future is about human-machine collaboration. So let's discard all these doomsayers predictions about the end of humanity. So there's always room for us, and this new era of the relations between human and machines will force us to use our creativity to actually prove why we're indispensable in these relations. That's one. So two is, again, jobs. Some jobs will be gone. More jobs will be created. And the problem is that we are not moving too fast, we're moving too slow, because many of jobs already, they're doomed. So let's make sure that we create new jobs and new industries to generate income to actually help people who are left behind. So, and again, whatever, negatives created by AI, so like cyber attacks, there will be more, created on the positive side. And again, it will probably, force us to take new challenges.
Exactly.
So again, overall picture, so I think it's this, as always happened in the history of humanity, there's the, again, new challenge, so forces us to be more creative, but there's more for us to win than to lose. Agreed? So fine. Hopefully, you can leave this conference, with a positive view of the future of humanity. So we're not going to be redundant. We're not going to be obsolete. Actually, we're going to be promoted. Thank you.